Weighs about as much as a piece of lettuce. Alrighty guys, just got a package from Moto Bilt. Check what's in the box, just popped it open. I haven't looked in the box yet, so we'll see what's going on, what we got here. Alrighty guys, so here is the Dana 30 heavy duty diff cover. Dang, this thing is like super solid, like super heavy. So it's a 1/4 inch thick steel, very nice welds, cool little logo right there, solid fill plug, all that good stuff. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be awesome. Can't wait to paint it up and get it on. I'm not going to powder coat it because if I get it powder coated, it's gonna get chipped. Well, when it does get chipped very easily, it'll chip off in like bigger chunks, and I don't want that. So if I rattle can it, it'll be able to touch up easier, and it won't chip off in big pieces. So I won't be driving around with like a raw diff cover getting rusted and stuff. So yeah, rattle can will have to suffice. It'll look really good. I'll probably paint this logo right here green to match my accents. All right, so that's the diff cover. Very solid. This is one of the only ones I've seen that looks like this. I was thinking about going the Poison Spider route, but that made the differential look a lot smaller. Those do look cool though, don't get me wrong, but this is kind of like a 1-ton style diff cover, so it's gonna look really sick, gonna look super beefy. And you don't see a whole lot of people driving around with these, so I mean, it's cool to be different sometimes. And I also like to support local businesses. So I got this in about 1 day with the cheapest shipping because they are also located in Alabama, just like we are. Made in USA. All right, so what else we get in the box here? We've got a bag of hardware. So this will replace the stock hardware, it looks like. Yeah guys, it doesn't look like I'll be able to reuse the stock hardware on these just because of the clearance right here. As you can see, it's the bolt head clearance is a lot smaller, so that's why they included these, so that way they can make room for the plate coming out a lot further. So I want to get to rattle canning this, let that dry, then I'll make sure I have enough diff fluid and make sure I have RTV to lay down a nice gasket right there. So I was gonna get a lube locker gasket, that way it would be a lot easier. I could just slap it on versus having to like use RTV, which I will do, but I don't really have time to go out and get a lube locker, and I already have RTV, so you know, save money and it'll get the job done. Be able to fix the leak on the trail if I have to with the RTV. So I can't forget to show you guys that they did include a sticker. JKU Inferno would be pretty proud of this one. It's a pretty good sticker. This one's gonna go on the tailgate, or the inside of my tailgate. Alrighty guys, so I'm about to get some acetone right here, and I'm gonna strip off all of the manufacturing grease and dirt and stuff like that and get ready for a fresh coat of paint. Alright, so that wraps it up for the paint. Got a couple of little hairs floating around. I'll just pick off when it dries. So I did a couple coats of flat black, and then I did a few heavy coats of clear. And then later, once I find the gecko green paint that matches my color scheme, I'm gonna fill in that logo as well. So now it's time to throw the diff cover on. I'm gonna start by removing the old one. So on the JK Dana 30 up front, there's a fill plug on the cover right there, and then there's a drain plug underneath that you could take out with a ratchet. So instead of undoing the drain plug to drain the fluid out, since I'm swapping the diff cover, I'm just going to go ahead and take off the diff cover, let all the fluid come out that way, just like you would do on like an older Dana 30 style, like a TJ or an XJ or something like that. And I'm going to be using a 13mm socket on those bolts with my impact, and then a 1/2 inch ratchet to break free the rest of the bolts that I can't get to with the impact. So it looks like we only have one bolt right there that we can't get to with the impact that I'm going to get with my 1/2" ratchet. The diff cover is still held on by the gasket, but it's starting to have like a slow drip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in one bolt on the top just to hold it. That way I can pry it off without the diff cover falling down and making a mess. I like to use a smaller flathead, something that's a lot thinner, to get in between the old stamp diff cover and the differential. All right, as you guys can see, I've got my screwdriver in there separating the diff cover from the differential. It looks pretty clear for having 80,000 miles on it. Alrighty guys, there's the old diff cover right there. Weighs about as much as a piece of lettuce. Looks about as thin as a piece of lettuce too. Alrighty guys, there you have it. There's the infamous Dana 30 differential right there. I'm gonna inspect the gears, make sure there's no chips or cracks or anything on the teeth. I'm also gonna check the spider gears and everything like that, make sure it's all in good condition for the times that I have wheeled it with 37s. Yeah, once all that looks good, I'm gonna clean up the edge with my razor blade and then apply some RTV for the new cover. Still smells like nasty diff fluid though. That's probably one of the worst smells. Alrighty guys, I got my chips ready to go. I had to switch to my hat. That beanie was too hot. Let me know if you guys want Intrinsic off-road hats or beanies. We can get those made. So the gears are looking pretty good here. Didn't see anything out of the normal. You know, rotating and looking at the spider gears as well. Something else I like to do after scraping all the gasket off with the razor blade is to get like a Scotch-Brite or something rough. Obviously nothing that'll like scar the surface, but just to get that extra gasket out of there, just getting the cleanest surface possible. Also, something else I like about the JK Dana 30 is that it has like a little cavity right here where the oil collects, so that way, so if you wipe out that excess fluid, it won't continue to keep dripping out and getting the surface oily, similar to what the rear Dana 44 does. I do suggest that you guys take caution because the edges of the diff, like right here, are pretty sharp, and I'm pretty sure if I keep rotating this this ring gear right here, it'll tell me my gear ratio. So you can either calculate that or it should tell you something similar to it. And as I've mentioned before in our other videos, I have 373 gears that came with it stock. So like right here, these little flakes right here, I'm just gonna get like a little brush and just brush all that out and make sure everything's nice and clean, that there's nothing left behind there. So I ended up finding a toothbrush that'll probably get the job done really good. I'm also going to clean the surface of the mating surface of the differential cover as well, so that way it'll have a solid surface to stick to. Now it's time to start laying down some RTV on this. Alrighty guys, not the prettiest bead of RTV, but it'll do. I like to go like all the way around the bolt hole, so that way it has a nice seal all the way around it. So we got our new hardware right here. So we've got a 12-point socket. It's the size, it's a 5/16. Alrighty guys, so I just got all the bolts snugged up there, so I want that get a little bit more dry. I think they say on the packaging about like 15-20 minutes or so, something around that time range. Could be wrong, don't quote me on that. But so once that dries just a little bit more, I'm gonna torque those down to what they need to be, and then I'll put the fluid in, and that'll be it. Just saw this little note here in the bag of hardware that they included, and it said that you need to paint those bolts right there so they don't rust. So I'm gonna go and touch those up here in a little bit. Just wanted to point that out to you guys. Alrighty guys, so for the gear oil, I'm gonna be using 80W90. That's what I found recommended online. And people were saying that the stock Dana 30 oil capacity was 1 quart of oil. And that's how much it usually takes if you were to have the stock diff cover and you were to fill it till it came out of the fill plug right there. some aftermarket covers, you don't fill them up to the fill plug. You're supposed to just put in like the original amount that was with the stock cover, because I do know from experience that if you do overfill the diff, that it will start coming out your axle seals right there, and I've had an issue with that, so I had to drain some out, get it back to the right level, and that issue was fixed before. That was not on this Jeep though, that was on my previous four-door when I did the four-wheel drive swap. So for the Moto Bilt diff cover, they have these special type of bits right here. This is a 14 millimeter. As you guys can see, it's not just your standard ratchet like the stock fill plug would be. A little update for you guys, I did move my steering stabilizer up to this hole on my Synergy track bar bracket instead of that one, so that the clamp right here wouldn't hit the diff cover and scrape off the paint whenever I turn driver all the way. Alrighty guys, so with the diff cover in, first impressions are the axle looks so much more beefy. It looks really beefy for a Dana 30. It looks more of like, it makes the differential look bigger, so it looks like a Dana 44 or something like that. And I don't even have the truss and gussets yet, so I'll be getting the truss on the axle tube right here and then the C gussets right there. And you guys are probably wondering why I do have stock tires on. We are working on a pretty big project reveal coming pretty soon, so you guys stay tuned for that. Yeah guys, really happy with this diff cover and how it came out. I'm still gonna do the little green accent logo right there. Also, don't forget to recycle your old oil. I like to just put a funnel in the container that I have the new oil in and just pour it in there, and then I'll collect a bunch of bottles and then I'll take it to my local auto parts store or oil change place, either place that I'll take it, so that they can recycle it. You know, I was thinking about going the poison spouter